lady.
I'll explain later.
Okay, well, there's a
Good morning, everyone. It's 6 a.m. on the 27th of January. And we are in somewhat cold weather where I am. 34 degrees, feels like 23, but Jeff is freezing this morning, he says. Please put in the chat where you're watching from.
I thought there was global warming.
Yeah,
we need some of that right now. So thank God I don't have any animals outside, but Jeff has to worry about that.
Yeah,
I think there was at least 2 babies born either last night or the night before, or maybe 3. And my wife said the weather has something to do with, I don't know, getting something going in these mama cows where they have more babies when it gets really cold like this. She said, wow. Which I haven't done, but I should know that, why that happens.
So put hashtag KMT in the chat for a chance to win what today, Alia?
Kiltz's Keto is Carnivore book.
All right.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions, put them in the chat as well. For Jeff, Dr. Kiltz, for
Do we
Alia.
have Dr. Kiltz YouTube?
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
And we created a Kiltz Mighty Tribe YouTube also.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. And we're gonna create a top secret members only group, by the way. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh.
That's called Kiltz Mighty Tribe and YouTube KMT and Dr. Kiltz. So you mean everyone's welcome?
Yes.
Jeff.
Good to see you, Dr. Kiltz.
Always good to see you. Great day in paradise.
It's not been paradise the last few days.
Oh, it's all God's work.
Oh, I know. And boy, Mother Nature is powerful.
Stay in the cave. And I was just, Brother Ray, I was just about to, are you here? Let's see, I lost Brother Ray. Let me see if I got him. I'll get him back. Another beautiful day in paradise. What are we talking about? The weather.
Yeah.
Good morning, Ray. We're live. I'm going to put you on here. Hold on, Ray. You're good.
Sarasota can be that cold, I guess. What's the temperature there, Dr. Kiltz?
I have no idea, but I did get out to the hot tub. I mean, it's maybe in the 40s, 50s. You know, you go from the hot tub to the cold pool to the cold air.
It's 34 in Deltona.
Let's see, what does it say here? I'll look at my my weather barometer. 40 degrees. It feels like 27. It says it didn't feel that. It felt good. And again, it says hibernate. Just slow it down, right? You know, it's the animals. Generally, they're doing okay out there, aren't they, Jeff?
You know, how do you really know, right? I mean, I know that the thing with cattle is it's not the cold weather that hurts them. It's these swings where it goes, you know, it changes temperature 50 degrees, you know, it goes from 80 to 12, you know, and then back up to 80. That's what really hurts them.
Well, so what do they do in the weather like this if you weren't around?
So they would get down in, you know, the low spots, get away from the wind. You know, the babies they'd all get together in one big bunch, you know, like we would do if we were out there doing that as a bunch of us. So a lot of the same things that a human would do, right?
I want to just quickly say thanks to Susie Marsh for her donation, her super sticker. Thank you.
Yeah. And we're sharing. What are we sharing today, Jeff? What's the story?
We did a 10-pound premium American Wagyu beef giveaway several months ago, and the winner was Kimberly Barnes, and I forgot to let her know when the beef was showing up, but I mailed it to her. She said, I got a email. She said, Jeff, I don't know if you made a mistake, but there's a box of beef sitting here and I did not order it. Can you tell me what's going on? Yeah. So she sent an email yesterday and said she planned on being on this. She's very grateful for the Kiltz Mighty tribe, very grateful for the beef. She loved the American Wagyu beef, and she's sorry that she couldn't make the call this morning.
What do you think of the new food pyramid, Jeff?
Oh, I think it's great. I think it's, it's a long time coming.
So it says
pyramid.
It says animal products, meat, cheese, butter, milk, is included in a healthy diet. Would you agree?
Oh, of course, I am a little biased, right? So, totally agree. We've, the cattle have been under attack for years. They're gonna stop the world from spinning, but I think people are realizing that. And just yesterday, I was looking at these animals, like they're not really very smart, but what animal can actually live out in the pasture year round for 15 years? Like some cows live to 20 and have a baby every year. And you can actually make a little bit of money on them these days. The cattle business right now, I don't know if you guys know, but it's like better than it's ever been. Like we're finally making a little bit of money right now.
Well, what other animal will like get in a rocket and go to Mars, go to the moon, or drive around in devices that go way faster than humans were ever meant to go? I don't know. I somehow think the cows are far smarter than we are.
Yeah, well, cows are definitely smarter than calves. The calves are just little crazy things running around. But back to your question, I think that fat, beef, meat in general versus carbs is catching on as a healthier energy source. My wife is a type 1 diabetic, and she says, oh, I totally get the whole, what people want to eat beef. If I only ate beef, it wouldn't spike my blood sugar so bad. But it's hard in this country to find food that doesn't have sugar and carbs in it. This carnivore thing sure makes the diet a lot easier, that's for sure.
Domesticated human beings eat plant primarily, where wild types eat animals primarily. And I imagine in our ancient past, we ate rare to raw fatty meat, organ meats, brain, bone marrow, and all those things. And we followed the herds.
Mm-hmm.
That picture behind you, is that your land, by the way?
It is, yes. That's actually one of the workings where, believe it or not, and I'd love for you guys to come do this one time. People come from hours away and we work these calves. Working means you separate them from their mother and you castrate the bulls and you give the vaccines you dehorn them and all of these things, brand them. And that was actually one of the workings when I was calling them in to separate the mothers from the babies. And I just thought it was kind of a cool looking picture, them all running. I wish that was all lush grass, but it's really crappy weeds. But it looks real like lush grass.
It does. Well, is that kind of the nature of that environment? I mean, the grasses have to be hardy. So they're just, when we call them weeds, or was it once a different environment in our ancient past?
These weeds are not indigenous to this part of the country, by the way. They're called a it's a Eurasia star thistle, and they're very invasive. And if you don't, you know, mow it, shred it, you know, they'll just take over a pasture and choke out the you know, the native Texas grasses, which are the ones that are really high in protein. And so we try to, you know, take care of the pastures so that the cows can eat good, healthy grass. But, you know, it's hard to do that on, you know, a lot of land.
But you've have passion. You've been doing this for a while now, and it's not easy business.
It is not, but you know, golly, I wouldn't trade it for going back into the corporate world if they gave me $1 million a year, Doc. It's through all this in the last few days. I mean, I've got a sledgehammer on my shoulder and I'm busting, you know, water troughs, ice off of water troughs so the cows can just get down to the water, because no water is flowing to any of the water troughs. So just what we had in the water troughs before the freeze came is what they have. And you know, they're 13-degree weather. I've got the sledgehammer on my shoulder. And the sun's out. And I said, "This is awesome. this is great." So it's a good life. You don't get rich in the cattle business. That's for sure. I've learned that. But
well, like you, I talked to my friend Mark McKinley, who's up in Bighorn, Stinson Ranch. I think it's up in Buffalo, Wyoming.
Oh boy,
Bighorn Mountain Ranch, and you know, it's a passion. You guys have a passion for being there on the land and helping, you know, raise these animals and process them. So the market for meat. Tell me what's happening in the market for the animals, but also the finished product.
So, you know, the last few years, the herd in the United States has been diminished. It's smaller than it's been, I think, in the last 80 years. Right? Normally there's, you know, like 100 million head. I think there's like 80 million head now, something like this. I can't remember the exact numbers, but primarily the drought, right? We've had terrible drought. So the ranchers just can't afford to keep the cattle and keep feeding them because there's no grass, you know? And so when that becomes too expensive, the ranchers have to sell their cattle, right? So prices, you know, economics, right? Low supply, high demand, which the demand for beef still at these prices is very, very high. And you'd think at some point people would start transitioning to a different type of meat, but man, they are buying this stuff. Like ground beef right now, decent ground beef is $7-8 a pound. We sell our American Wagyu ground beef for $8 or $9 a pound, but you know, the prices are sky high because the supply is limited, and there are literally ranches going out of business every day here in the United States. And you know, the younger generation doesn't want to be a rancher, right? They want to be where the high-speed internet and the coffee shops are. But maybe as they grow and they go see the world and whatnot, they will come back to it. So yeah, it's a kind of a unique situation. They're saying that these prices could stay like this for probably another couple of years. Just to give you a frame of reference, so sold 12 calves maybe 2 weeks ago, got $4.50 a pound, where, you know, normally we'd be happy with $2.50 a pound. Wow. Like the prices have literally doubled.
But farming, no matter what, and ranching is hard business. Economically, it's a struggle. And some of the larger industrial farms get subsidies. What type of subsidies do you get for your farming, ranching?
Yeah, that's a great question, Doc. And, you know, a lot of this is very new to me, right? I think I've told you guys that, you know, I left the corporate world probably a year and a half ago to do this full time. This ranch is my wife's ranch, and they've been doing it for 100 years out here. And so I'm learning about these subsidies. It's not like they sit down with you and go, okay, well, here's all the government subsidies that are available to you. You know, it's kind of like fake it till you make it. So there's some drought relief. There's some other, you know, programs through USDA. Like right now, we've got a program going where they're basically paying for us to clear what we call cedar trees, and basically clear the cedar trees out and make pasture for the cows. It's a big project. We've got 2 or 3 excavators out there, and we're only doing like 120 acres, but you can barely walk through this 120 acres because this invasive species of cedar tree is actually so it's a juniper tree, very invasive, and it takes a lot of water, and therefore no grass will grow. So there's all kinds of subsidies out there that I'm learning about that the USDA, primarily USDA, but I'm reading about another grant that's available through the government. I was just reading. In fact, I've got a call in a couple of days, a grant up to $200,000 for certain ranchers that are transitioning from traditional ranching to direct to consumer. So some of these ranches are figuring out that in order to stay alive, they've got to transition to a different model, right? And the direct to consumer model is much more profitable than a traditional model where, you know, you take your cattle out, when you need a little money, you take your calves to the local auction barn and sell them, and you just keep doing that. Profit margins are probably twice as, 2x on direct to consumer, but they don't know how to do that, right? So there's programs that teach them and help them do that.
Eating meat is something that we have found in the carnivore space is like one of the healthiest things we can do. And somehow, I'm just curious about, the community that you're serving. Obviously meat is for everyone, and it may be just eating more meat is what we all need to do, and not so worried about, eating some plants. What's your thoughts on the carnivore space and how we can better help just inspire more people to eat meat and don't lose your shirt over or eat some plants sometimes?
Well, gosh, I've been trying to spread that message just because I personally just became carnivore, probably 95% carnivore the last couple of years, probably when I met you and, started learning about the health benefits of fatty meat. Right. And I'm grateful that I learned that because my personal health has improved dramatically. So, I personally have seen and witnessed what it can do to you, for you. I think, there are consumers out there, Dr. Nelson, that love our meat to have lots of fat on it. There are some consumers out there that go, there's a lot of fat on those ribeyes. Those things look terrible. Right. So everyone has their favorite way of consuming beef and their favorite way of cutting and processing an animal. So my thoughts on that, Doc, are everybody has their own, methodology preference on what beef to consume, what meat to eat, what vegetables and plants not to eat. And then once you decide what kind of meat you want, how do you want it processed, right? Do you want the 1.5-inch thick steaks? Do you want thinner steak? Do you want them fat? There's all kinds of different preferences out there in terms of how people and why people consume beef.
How's your wife doing on meat?
Oh, she's sick of beef. She's because that's all I like. Honey, you're going to come home she's a lawyer. She's a prosecutor here in this little county. And, I'm on the ranch all day and be 5 or 6. Honey, you going to come home? And well, what are we having? I said, beef. she's like, I think I'm going to go out with my friends. So she is very smart. She knows the benefits of it, but she's like, I love carbs. And, you know, she takes her blood sugar, checks her blood sugar 15, 20 times a day. And, yeah, so she's pretty much tired of beef, but she understands the health benefits of beef and is not afraid to eat fat, and doesn't think fat is bad for you, as we have been taught most of our. I had, for the first time, I changed general practitioner doctors and did this about a month ago. First time ever, this doctor said, Jeff, tell me about your diet. I'm like, really? You want to know? Like, okay, let me tell you. No doctor's ever asked me that before. Well, I don't know if they're teaching nutrition in medical school these days or not, Dr. Kiltz, but you know.
Well, they are, but it's standard nutrition. It's basically a Mediterranean diet, 3 to 6 meals a day, lots of fiber, fruits and vegetables, chicken, fish, turkey, lean meat, no fat, and do your daily exercise. And I'm just curious, maybe everyone here maybe could just say, hey, listen, this is what I tell my doc, or I don't tell them, or how do you approach your healthcare practitioner? But in fact, who is our healthcare practitioner, Dr. Nelson?
Each of us, it's our own. That should be. I mean, obviously, who's going to care more? Even a good primary care provider, you know, you should care more than any of them. And hopefully good ones out there do care about their patients. But we have Karen in here who just switched providers and found a carnivore-friendly doctor from Lakeland.
And our job is, we need to stick to who and what you are and teach the practitioners out there. And because, you know, one day you're going to need a standard doc for something. And you know, the CEO of my own health. Yeah. The new food pyramid, which is now, I call it the food triangle. It's kind of like the Bermuda Triangle. Is it just a trap that, you know, we need to follow some guidelines, or really we know the true ancient guidelines and we don't need anyone to really tell us? We just go back to what's natural.
I think there's a lot of people out there that won't do it unless, you know, the person whose opinion they value and trust tells them to do it, you know. And then there's another half of the people out there that, you know, are, I'll say, empowered, but through knowledge. And then they guide themselves based on, you know, being empowered and making decisions based on that versus someone telling them what to do. You know, this kind of reminds me of when I go to the grocery store, which is rare. Sometimes I'll just kind of go stand at the meat section and I'll watch people. And it's the oddest thing, the look on their, I can just, they're reading, they're looking, and it's just total confusion. Like, you know, and sometimes I'll even ask them, like, how do you make your decision when you're buying beef? And they'll say, well, the label, some of them are like how it looks, you know, there's just no real, I guess, recipe or instruction booklet that teaches people to be empowered through knowledge of when they're making a beef selection. All right. And that's one of the things, one of our missions as an organization is to empower people and educate people about the benefits, not only health benefits, but, you know, there's so many other benefits of it. It could be, you know, just they may want to support a rancher. It could be something around, you know, convenience. It could be something around quality. You know, health is only one of the things that, you know, I think a good quality beef product provides to individuals.
What were you holding up there, Dr. Kiltz?
Oh, so, I mean, ultimately, that's what we're all about at Kiltz Mighty Tribe and Kiltz Health, and our Kiltz's keto carnivore concepts, and is really sharing these ideas and sharing. I've done some stuff with Jeff, and the people who are producing our food, because last I looked, we're not producing it; someone else is, and but hopefully, we're learning much more, and we have a new edition of Kiltz Keto is carnivore. The new cover's coming out too, so we're kind of excited and to share kind of all of our new ways. It's a lot of fun. We're having fun in all this, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yes. And we have a bunch of questions for Jeff.
We do. All right, Michael Pregler. Do you grain finish, and how long does that transition take?
We do both, but we'll grass finish and grain finish. But truth is, 95% of our customers want grain finished, and we use only non-GMO. And believe me, it is hard to find that these days. I have learned 90% of all corn that's consumed in this country is GMO, whether it's consumed by us or the cattle. And to find a non-GMO grain is very, it's expensive too. So our cattle are American Wagyu. It's a premium species, combination of Angus and a Wagyu, and we pasture raise them. And the last 120 days, we feed them out on this non-GMO grain, and the non-GMO grain provides really a lot of the things that the cow needs to produce highly marbled, very nutritious, high nutrient, tasty beef compared to the grass-fed and grass-finished. And then we slaughter them at about 24 months of age. So when they reach about 1,500 pounds, we've had taste tests around here, and we'll put a grass-fed, grass-finished, cook it the same way as our grain-finished, and 9 out of 10 times people always pick the grain-finished product.
Yeah, I love the marbled and grain finished personally, and essentially you're doing it. You're not putting them in a feedlot to do that, are you?
Well, I mean, I have 75 calves running around out here right now that I feed, and I mean, you could call it a feedlot because it's a big pasture with long troughs, and
Right. And they have they're right. They have more
they're
freedom.
not enclosed in a.
Yeah, so feedlot, guys, that's such a broad term, and I know a lot of people just think feedlot bad, right? Feedlot bad. Not true. There's some that are bad, and that's one of the ways this country has to produce beef in order to feed as many people as we do, right? But don't think that every feedlot is bad. There's all sorts of feedlots. That's just a term for where you feed animals and prepare them for slaughter. Some of them are, like you said, Dr. Nelson, very crammed in there, and they're fed all GMO, and they do it for speed, right? Trying to feed all these people. And I think the USDA's done a pretty decent job of regulating the beef industry, and for the most part, feeding a lot of people in a fairly safe way, right? I don't have anything against grocery store beef or feedlots, because we're doing what we need to as a country to feed a lot of people. If all the beef was grass-fed and grass-finished, we'd have half the country. We'd need half the country to feed all of these animals. It literally would be impossible.
You have another question?
How did you get started raising cattle?
It's my in-laws. My in-laws have had this ranch since 1907, and they've been, in the sheep business. Actually, it was cotton in the 30s, then sheep in the 40s, 50s, and then they transitioned to cattle, and they call it the Dust Bowl. And so they've been ranching for, 100 years out here. So, it was a way for me to use the money I made in corporate America. I was in IT sales for 30 years, working for Accenture and IBM, Oracle. And this was a way out. While I was in corporate America, upgraded the infrastructure, basically built some new fences and upgraded the barn because everything's really old around here.
You invested in your retirement, which is ultimately keep producing and creating.
That's it. Yes. And it gives me something to do. And, I love seeing the whole reproduction cycle of these animals. And, I feel like I'm doing something positive for people, and
Do you raise anything else other than cattle?
No, sir. Mm-mm.
All
I
right.
get that question a lot, but
you're focused to be good at what you do.
yes, and that's our mission really, is we want to produce the highest quality, most nutritious beef that our consumers, can procure in an easy way, right? It's fairly easy these days to find a rancher and buy your beef direct from the rancher, but it's a unique new thing for most people. But it really is a lot easier now than but you got to find one you can trust, because there's not a lot of regulations in the cattle business. So thank you for that question, though.
Next.
How much pasture land do you need to support the feeding of cows?
That is all dependent on where in the country you are. And the government has, quote, guidelines as to how many acres you need based on where you are to feed one animal. In this county, which is Burnett County, Texas, the ratio is 14 acres to one cow. If it's somewhere in Montana or Wyoming or New Mexico, it's probably more like 100 acres to one cow. If you're in Iowa or somewhere where you have a lot of rainfall, and I'm not sure Iowa gets a lot of rainfall, but they produce a lot of cattle. But if you're somewhere in the country that has more rainfall, therefore more grass, then it could be less than 14 acres for one animal. Those are just guidelines, right?
Yeah, it seems like a lot, though. To me,
It is, and with there is a bit of a transition to regenerative ranching and sustainable farming. Things like no-till drilling are catching on. Like my in-laws never did. They would always plow the ground up, right? Which makes it very difficult for the native grasses to grow when you plow the land, right? So what I do is use no-till drilling, where we don't plow the land up. We use a machine that I pull behind my trailer, and it literally sticks, injects the seed into the soil. And I'm so happy about that too, by the way. I just love using that no-till drill, and then coming back if there's a little bit of rain and seeing all these little, rows of oats popping up, or that's very satisfying as well. So I think with some of the modern ways of ranching and farming, that you can produce and run more cattle on less land if you do it in the right way.
Jeff, you able to go on vacation quite a bit, and the ranch runs on its own?
Not near as much as I used to when I had the corporate check coming in, but now, there's the corporate check isn't coming in. So, the vacations have, I don't want to even leave the ranch anymore, Doc. I feel like I'm becoming an isolationist out here, yeah.
well,
You're
sorry.
feeding us. You're feeding us, right?
Yeah.
Trying to. Yep.
Sherry Boyd would like to know if the carnivore diet is healthy for you.
Asking me that?
Anyone.
All of us.
Yeah. So,
Long answer. Yes.
It's very healthy for you.
beef is the most nutrient-rich food on the planet.
Absolutely. There's nothing that compares. The most bioavailable list of nutrients.
Yeah, I had no idea either, really, until a couple of years ago when I hooked up with Dr. Kiltz, and went direct to consumer with beef and started understanding more about beef. Heck, I was almost 60 years old before I really knew and understood the nutritional value of beef. So I'm empowered now, right?
What
I feel
toxins?
empowered.
I mean, when was the last time beef was been recalled that wasn't, ultra processed like ground beef? And I mean, is it commonly recalled for contamination or someone got poisoned by it?
I don't know the statistics on that, Doc. I know from time to time there are, large food companies that, they trace it back to the source, and, there's something that happened in the production or the transport or something. And, wherever they provided their beef to, whatever restaurants or grocery stores, people were getting sick. And so, whether it's Tyson, Cargill, JBS Foods, I would think every year they have some kind of a massive recall of some sort, because really there's only 4 companies that provide about 90% of the beef to this, to the citizens of this country. Only about 10% of beef is sold directly from the rancher. And that number is going up slowly, but.
Per AI, it's all vegetables that get recalled. In some dairies, not frequently. It doesn't list beef anywhere.
Well, and milk products are highly at risk of contamination versus, again, beef. It just, I mean, the animals that are sick. I mean, how many sick animals do you have? I mean, it's probably not common, is it?
No, I'd say I have about 100 mama cows, registered Angus cows, and every year a couple of them, either get sick or, unfortunately, in this business, you see death, right? I mean, it's just part of it.
Here's the next question. What company did you leave in the corporate world?
The last company I was with was Accenture, and we did IT consulting in the healthcare industry. That's the group I was with. But I want to go back to the whole recall thing. Something I learned maybe a year ago is, from a processing perspective, if you bring an animal in, a bovine, could be either a steer. People always call them cows, but if you breed 100 cows, somehow Mother Nature has got to figure it out. About half of them are going to be boys, and about half of them are going to be girls. Right? You can engineer that, by the way, if you want it, through artificial insemination and embryo transfer, which we do a little bit of. If your numbers start getting, anyway, if your animal is 30 months or older, you cannot process certain cuts of meat. For example, you cannot process T-bones or porterhouse. T-bones and porterhouse, the muscle is the longissimus dorsi. It's the same muscle, but it's the vertebrae, right? That is where mad cow disease is most prevalently, I guess, where in the animal it manifests itself. And so if it's 30 months or older, we have to process into individual New York strips, the strip loin, and individual filet mignons. We cannot produce the porterhouse or the T-bone, which is a combination of both of those cuts of meat. Very interesting that, that I guess the USDA figured that out. And, that's kind of an interesting thing to learn about the cattle business in terms of how old they are and how it kind of dictates how you can get it processed, if you're getting it processed through the USDA standards.
But you're trying to process about 24 months, you said, right?
Right at 24 months of age.
And who processes your animals?
A local, independent processor called M&M Butcher Block. We process probably on average, 3 animals a month and sell those animals direct to consumer. And, you know,
And is FDA inspected centers, or is that sort of not all of them are, and it depends?
Great question. Every processor is different. Some of them are only state inspected, where you can only ship it within the state. Some of them are USDA inspected, which means you can ship it all over the country, not out of the country, but all over the country. And then some of them are, you know, private, where, you know, there's no inspection at all. If they're just consuming it for themselves. And every processor, you know, has some mixture of that, of those certifications.
Okay.
Next question, Alia.
Yeah. Jeff, don't we turn too much land into cash cropping? Feedlots all over Southern Ontario are sold off and abandoned. We need more cattle products.
Turn too much land into cash cropping. You know, I am not a farmer, Michael. Not in the traditional sense. So all I would say was, whoever has transitioned from beef to cash cropping, I bet they wish they were in the beef business right now and hadn't made that transition. But yeah, I don't really have any good data to answer that question, Michael. Sorry.
Christian, Dr. Kiltz, can I get that book on Amazon? The Kiltz
Yep.
Keto is
Yep.
carnivore.
You know, all our books on Amazon, except Kiltz's Keto for Fertility, which Marie Emmerich helped us put together, but you have to get that on drkiltz.com. I think that's where they get it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Good.
Juan Fernando Villalobos Liberos. If you grain finish, do you have to give the steers antibiotics due to the grains?
You don't have to, and we don't. In fact, we don't give any of our cattle antibiotics or hormones. But I will tell you, if there is an injured cow, just like when we were younger, you know, I can remember getting a cut and preventing an infection. My dad was a vet. We'd get a shot of penicillin, all right? And we use antibiotics only if the cattle's life is in danger of getting an infection and dying. But we don't put it into, like, I really don't even know why people would do that. Yeah,
there you go. All right, next question. GFG Homestead. Why is GMO corn grown? It's not for speed.
Well, I again, I'm not a farmer, but it's a way of feeding a lot of people in this country. You know, what the USDA considers a healthy product, and it's much cheaper to produce, you know, GMO. I don't know if you guys know what GMO is, genetically modified organism. And basically what they've done is they've genetically modified a lot of plants so that farmers can spray. Glyphosate is primarily the weed killer that is used. You spray it right on that plant and it will not bother. It'll kill every weed around that corn stalk, but it won't bother the corn stalk at all. I'm not sure I want to eat anything that's been sprayed with glyphosate.
What happened with that question?
Oh, did you put up a different one?
Someone did.
Oh, sorry. I did. Okay, sorry. So where can people get your beef? Jeff, I've put the link in the chat, but where can they get it?
They can get it through the Kiltz Mighty Tribe. We need to put the link.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay. Yes. Where is it?
But the other question said something about where is your farm located.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah. Where's
Texas.
your farm located?
Yeah.
Anyways, the farm's located in Texas, but the link it's online, so you can get it.
Why am I not seeing the link, Aaliyah?
I don't know. Are you looking? Do you have the
Link is
comments
in the
open?
descriptions.
And also,
By the
do you
way,
need
it's just
comments open?
your website and then Kiltz/Kiltz.
Correct. Those 3C Joppa cattle.com. And then through the Kiltz Mighty Tribe, the members get a 10% discount on anything that any of the beef that we sell to KMT members.
Do we have a link at the marketplace, Alia?
We have it in the Kiltz Mighty Tribe, and it will definitely be.
It's always on Kiltz Health. All these links in our marketplace. Yeah. That's primarily stuff that Ali's been doing a great job getting done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Real important.
Mary Freed, do you grow your own cow feed non-GMO or do you purchase it? I think we already answered this.
Yeah, we purchase it.
Okay. Robin Wyckoff, do you use selective breeding?
Selective breeding?
I guess that means what you were talking about earlier. How you can choose the gender of the animal.
So we occasionally do artificial insemination, and occasionally we do embryo transfer. If we have our herd that is, if we're producing too many bulls versus too many cows, then we have the ability through those two methods to control that. And we do that, I'd say, probably every 3 years or so.
All right.
I have a question. Is beef cattle responsible for the majority of food-related environmental harm?
Not at all. In fact, they improve the environment. When a cow's hoof goes down into the ground like this, it allows those plants to grow deeper, the roots, and therefore they become more hardy and higher in protein content, and a little bit of carbon sequestration goes along with that as well. When I go out into the pasture and there's a bunch of cow patties laying in the pasture, I commonly will pull the cow patty over, and underneath that cow patty is the most brilliant green, lush, high protein content grass. So I totally don't believe that. How do I do put something in chat? Is it just studio chat? Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Comments, and then post the comment.
There's the Kiltz link. Just our website /Kiltz.
Great. I'll pull up the next question. Jeff, is your entire family carnivore?
No, they've tried. So it's just the wife and I. She's type 1 diabetic. Then we have 3 children. They're 22 to 27. The daughter has tried carnivore, and because she's probably the most health nutritious kind of minded person, but she said, Dad, I can't just eat beef all the time. I got to have some chicken, which is okay. That's fine. But
it's still carnivore. It's still carnivore.
Yeah.
Do you do mob grazing?
Never heard of the term. What does that mean?
There you go. Okay. Gloria, I am. Okay. What's the best way to find a good local direct-to-consumer rancher?
Love that question.
How should we qualify them? Please?
Yeah, Gloria, thanks for asking that. I just filmed some content yesterday, and the whole theme of it is why you should develop a relationship with a rancher you can trust. And we go into the benefits of that, right? And unless you're buying direct from a rancher, you have no idea what that animal ate, how that animal was treated, what the nutrient value is, what the species is, the DNA of that animal. Basically, you're guessing when you go buy beef at the grocery store. So I would just do a Google search, right? And if you just type in local, whatever type of beef you're looking for, if it's Angus or Wagyu or whatever, and a whole list of them will come up. And then you just call them or message them and get into a dialogue with the actual rancher. And if they have their act together, Gloria, they will respond to you and hopefully get on the phone and talk with you. And then you begin to vet the rancher based on what your needs are and what the location is. And if you don't find someone that you do trust, call me and I will make sure you get highly nutritious beef if you're in the United States.
All right. Let's see. PJ Clo, any pressure to vaccinate from federal, state, etc.? How do we
No.
fight Bill Gates?
No pressure at all on that.
Okay, good. How much better, healthier is a cow on a natural diet versus conventionally raised cow?
Ali, how do you really judge that? I think it would be just like us humans, right? The more processed food we eat, the more unhealthy we're going to be. Same with a bovine, right? If you feed them an all natural diet, non-GMO, they're, instead of having a baby every other year, they're going to have a baby every year because they feel good, right? And they are going to want to breed, right? And they're going to want to produce for you. So really there's so many similarities in bovine as to humans. You know, they cycle every 30 days. They're on a 9-month gestation. You feed them right, you treat them right, they will feel better and they will produce better for you. And the meat will be more tasty and more nutritious. So it's really no different.
Next question, Alia.
We're done.
We're done. We got them. Good.
We got all the questions.
So the new food guidelines focus, and there's a nice, beautiful, I think it's a ribeye steak on there.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Right. And you know, it's top to, you know, from the left to the right and the top to the bottom. And ultimately, if you just stick to the top left, the northwest, as Dr. Nelson has directed us, and focus on
the upper west side.
Upper west side, good fatty meat, the best thing to eat. And Jeff is really managed to help provide, produce, and create, and he's passionate about it. And I think what we're all doing here is want to find a passionate place to feed ourselves and our family, our children, and our communities. And you know, I think that's it's not easy to do what you're doing, Jeff. We appreciate your passion.
Great. I really appreciate you guys as well. And one of the most common questions we get that you guys may be able to help me with, and maybe it's in your book, but you know, what's different about American Wagyu than, you know, a traditional, you know, like an Angus cow, and there's a higher fat content. And if you believe that fat is healthy, then you could say that the American Wagyu, because it produces more fat, is more nutritious than you know, a native animal. So where or what is a source when someone says, Jeff, show me how fat can be good for me? What are the where do I go to get something that I can give that is factually correct, that talks about the fat composition and the health benefits?
Well, nowadays it's easy. You just ask that question. You put it into ChatGPT.
Yeah,
or
but
any of the AI.
yeah.
But you know, and all the fat-based vitamins are going to be higher. Vitamin K, E, vitamin D, vitamin A, omega-3s, omega-6, fatty acids, vitamins, minerals in general.
Thanks for that comment. I really do appreciate that's the customer, Sky Yellow Horse, that we sent some beef to maybe a month ago. And thank you for that testimonial.
Do you sell any beef fat trimmings?
We do. In fact, I'm getting orders like for some reason suet is really big right now. All right. I used to just give it away, and
Oh, wow.
now people are ordering it. I'm charging $7 a pound for it, and I'm getting orders every week for suet, which is kidney fat. It's unrendered tallow. But yes, we have the whole animal. All right. I mean, next to the hide and the hooves, we sell everything else.
Oh, wow. But could you turn the hooves into like gelatin, like for bone broth or something? You could boil it down.
We do sell the bones, yeah, bone marrow, but I don't know about the hooves.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately, now the processors have to pay. This is really sad. Have to pay for someone to come pick the hides up because there's no market for it,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And they take the hides and burn them.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting. Well,
I'm
I
sure
asked
they
because
could.
I buy hooves. I buy hooves and make gelatin, like collagen out of it. I just want to say, Erica Heffron, congratulations. You're the winner of a Kiltz Keto is Carnivore book. Please email me, alia@drkiltz.com.
And today at 3, we have a live stream at 5:30, Zoom call within the community.
There we
2
go.
Zoom calls within the communities because we have another one at 7 with Amy.
Oh, wow. Oh, it's the end of the Lion Diet month. All right. Dr. Kiltz, you got anything else?
I'm live today. I'm around this week. We have our how are we doing on our mighty meetup?
So we have about 100 people coming right now. About 70 people are showing up at your house, and then the next day, in total, about 100 people.
All right.
So we have another 50 more.
All right. So
at Tampa. Yeah.
let's sell it out. Let's get more and more people. Healing Humanity, our brothers and sisters, going to be there sharing ideas, even if you're not carnivore, but you're curious about it. We got some really great people going to be there. Ask questions, comment, tell your story. That's kind of so important for all of us.
Exactly. And
Dr.
that's on the
Kiltz and
7th
Dr.
of February.
I'm sorry, Aaliyah, I've talked over
No,
you.
it's okay.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I just wanted to tell you, Aaliyah, and Dr. Nelson, Dr. Kiltz, how grateful I am to be part of this tribe. It's great to be associated with you guys. I don't think I've ever met a person who's more selfless than Dr. Kiltz, besides my wife. And so I'm very grateful for you guys' support. Thank you.
Well, and
You're
again,
welcome.
appreciate you and look forward to just continuing the conversation and the community for all of us. And simplicity. It's what this really is about. There's such simplicity in the process.
It does kind of take the whole thing about going out to dinner, it kind of just puts the brakes on that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because I don't like beef anywhere in a restaurant anymore, right? Because they don't make it as good as we do. So.
But we're certainly all sharing some great stuff. So, all right, we'll see you later today. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Have a great day.
Bye.